So thank you, everyone, and I apologize for that. Good morning again, and thank you for joining me today for an update on Michigan's elections. Now, as I was mentioning, but as many of you could probably not hear, our election clerks and our election workers have been working throughout the night to tabulate every vote and ensure that every vote was counted.
Hi, Secretary Benson. First, I wanted to ask you, it looks like voters are no longer able to track their absentee ballots on the Secretary of State's website. Why is the system down, and will it be working again soon? And second, you may have seen some social media users are sharing 2 screenshots of elections maps that appear to show Joe Biden receiving over 138,000 votes in one update overnight in Michigan, with the other candidates not seeing their vote counts change. The suggestion is that Biden is being magically handed votes, and I'm wondering what you would say to those claims.
I would ask everyone to not repeat misinformation. And we've seen a number of elections already this year, the use of false graphics to try to indicate that there's some sort of problem at happening. And what we've said throughout this entire election cycle is that we have to be mindful of posts made on social media. Now, I have not seen the ones in particular that you're talking about, but notably, the trusted sources of information about the count here in Michigan are our election officials and the county websites and our website that's reporting out the data.
Secretary Benson, thanks for doing this.
Sure.
What was the number of absentee ballots received by the city of Detroit at the TCF Center by 8 o'clock last night? Were there any ballots that showed up around Detroit later on?
A couple of things. At the 8 o'clock press conference in Detroit last night, the Detroit city clerk and the number of leaders in the absentee counting ballot process mentioned that between 170,000 and 180,000, somewhere between there, were the number of ballots that they were tabulating and expected to be tabulating for the city of Detroit. Notably, ballots had to be in by 8 p.m. To the city of Detroit. So after that point, there were still collections happening, or perhaps immediately alongside that moment. Ballot drop boxes were being emptied. Satellite clerks' offices, there were 21 all around the city, were being shut down, and any ballots dropped off there were secured. And so the 8 p.m. deadline for ballots to be in was strictly enforced. And at that point, at the same time, right around 8 p.m., when there was a press conference happening at TCF, they were able to talk about the ballots that had been in at that point, and noted that there were still additional ballots coming in from those that were submitted close to the 8 p.m. deadline. So again, that really underscores why we're kind of talking in rough estimates right now. Because even once a ballot comes in, as you all know, it has to be validated. The signature on the envelope has to be checked with the signature that we have on file before it can even begin to be pre-processed and prepared for tabulation. So for ballots getting in Detroit or anywhere else in the state at 7:45, those will count because they arrived on time. But we're still in the process, and many clerks, particularly in Detroit and their absentee counting boards, in the process of making sure all the procedures are followed prior to the tabulation. And so again, it's a long answer to your question, but that's why I just want to kind of clarify why we're talking in estimates here of 170 to 180, because we're still, and we still haven't seen the full numbers of how many came in at that last minute in Detroit.
There's going to be 40,000 eventually. It'd be off a little one way or the other. So, you know, the one way to do this is to take a look at how much we think is out there. And I just think it's going to be hard to do that given the fact we can't look at past patterns to divine what's happening in this election.
You don't think we can?
I think it's harder because, I mean,
Maybe from now to 2012 it's harder, but it doesn't appear it's that difficult between now and 4 years ago.
So that's kind of there is a belief that there were tens of thousands of votes. However, outside of this video, which it's unclear, you know, the veracity of that video, if these votes arrived afterwards or not. In addition, the lawyers that I've been able to talk to, they don't want to be named or associated with specific campaigns. They are talking about how they are trying to challenge the vote and make sure that no extra ballots were counted after the 8 p.m. deadline. So basically, the police officers, as you were able to see, they were blocking these poll challengers, and they blocked a lot of lawyers from entering to offer that challenge. Another thing that's really exacerbating the tension here is that media is able to make their way inside to cover the inside of the event in a, you know, quarantined off area. But they are, you know, the fact that election challengers are kind of slow to trickle in, that's been a gripe as well.
Michigan's 1,600 clerks are public servants dedicated to protecting our democracy and providing accurate election results. And notably, as we now are really squarely in the counting of the absentee ballots, I think it's important to note that as we look over the record-breaking voter turnout in this election, where over 5 million citizens voted, 2/3 of that, 3.2 million citizens at least, voted absentee. So over the past several hours and indeed through the night, what's been happening here on the ground in Michigan, all throughout the state, are bipartisan groups of election workers tabulating those ballots effectively, methodically, and securely. continue to do that as we, again, stay focused on providing everyone with the confidence that we're going to count every vote, every valid vote in Michigan, and we will, work to protect the legality of that process in every way that we're called upon to do so.